Yes, sir.
Have you tried to solve those questions?
Yes, sir. I tried them. I like to do it.
Yes.
Yes, sir. I tried them.
Okay, you tried. Actually, can you repeat?
Yes, sir. I tried them.
I tried. Okay, so is there any problem with any of the question?
Yes, sir.
Actually, there was few questions I thought that you will not be able to solve. Let me see those questions. Okay, so these are your questions: current and liquid ratio. Okay, so the question number one was the quick ratio of a company is 0.8:1, and state with region whether the following transaction will increase, decrease, or need not change the quick ratio. Purchase of loose tools for rupees 2,000. Okay, so what will be the impact of this transaction on quick ratio? There is total 4 questions. You have tried all of them. Your voice is not audible actually. Can you repeat? Okay. I will try rejoining. Yes, Ritika, am I audible to you?
Yes, sir. Am
Okay.
I audible?
Yes. So this is your first question. The quick ratio of a company is 0.8 to 1. State with reasons whether the following transaction will increase, decrease, or not change the quick ratio. So we have to give the reason that it will increase, decrease, or not change the quick ratio. Okay, so the first transaction is purchase of loose tools for rupees 2000. So what will be the impact? You tried all of these questions or not?
Yes, sir. I tried to.
Okay, so what is the answer of the first question? The first transaction.
So it will increase.
It will increase. Can you tell me the reason why it will increase the quick ratio?
So because the quick ratio has the company's liquid assets by and current liabilities. So if we purchase these tools, there is a decrease in that
Decrease in
asset.
asset. Okay. Actually, purchase of loose tools for rupees 2000. It means the transaction will impact two assets of our business. The first one is loose tools, which is included in inventory. Okay. And the second thing is cash. So we have to pay cash. That will decrease our cash. Okay. So loose tools are not part of quick assets. Okay, because inventory is not included in quick assets. That's why inventory will increase. Okay, and there will be no impact on the liquid assets due to inventory, but cash will decrease and it will also decrease the liquid assets. So our liquid asset is decreasing. So the answer is decrease. Okay, due to decrease in cash. Okay. Is this clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The second is insurance premium paid in advance, rupees 500. What will be the impact? Yes, Ritika.
So I'm not sure about this one.
Okay. So insurance premium paid in advance. Okay, let me solve these questions. So the question number 1. Question number 1. The first transaction is purchase of loose tools. So cash will decrease. Actually, first the answer is decrease, and the reason is cash will decrease and inventory will increase. and inventory is not a part of liquid asset. Therefore, liquid asset will decrease. Okay. You can also write that liquid asset will decrease due to decrease in cash. Okay. But there is an increase in inventory and it is not a part of liquid asset. You can write the simple line like this also. Okay. The second solution is, yes, the second is insurance premium paid in advance. Now, if you are paying an expenses in advance, what is it for you? Yes, if you are paying any expenses in advance, what it will become for you? Assets, liabilities, what?
So asset.
Asset. Okay. So prepaid expenses, you can say.
Yes, sir.
Yes. And liquid asset does not include prepaid expenses. Yes. The formula for liquid asset is current assets minus inventory minus prepaid expenses.
Yes,
Yes
sir.
or no?
That's not included. Yes, sir.
Yes. So liquid asset does not include prepaid expenses also. So prepaid expenses is increasing and cash is decreasing. Okay. So cash will impact our liquid asset, but prepaid expenses will not affect our liquid asset. Yes.
Yes, sir.
So due to decrease in cash, our liquid asset will decrease. That's why our quick ratio will also decrease. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The third is sale of goods on credit of rupees 3,000. Now we are selling our goods on credit. Now it will also impact two items. First is debtors and second is inventory. Yes.
Yes, sir.
So date inventory has no impact. So we leave the inventory, but data is increasing. That's why liquid asset will increase.
Yes, sir.
So it will
Increase.
increase our quick ratio. Very good. Now, last one, you have to tell me this one. Honored a bills payable of rupees 5,000 on maturity. Means we have paid a bills payable of rupees 5,000.
So decrease.
Decrease. What are the impacts?
So we have paid the bills payable, which means our liabilities increasing, and
Yes, it's current liabilities.
so the current liabilities is decreasing, and the quick
Yes.
assets also decreasing because of the cash.
So there is same impact on both sides. Yes.
So the ratio will also decrease.
So ratio will also decrease.
Yes,
Okay. Okay. So I think wait one. Okay. So let's take an example for if you don't understand the problem, then you should write it, okay, as in working note. Like it will impact our bills payable. Yes. So current liability and it will impact our cash. So sorry, liquid assets. Now liquid asset is decreasing and current liability is also decreasing. So you are saying that it will decrease our quick ratio, yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the amount of both 5,000, let's say our total current liabilities was 1 lakh, okay, and our liquid asset was 80,000. That's why the ratio is 0.8 is to 1. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, if we decrease 5,000 from here, 5,000 from here, it will become 75,000 divided by 95,000. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So the impact will be 75,000 divided by 95,000. So it is 0.78 or 0.79. Yes, it is decreasing. Okay. But what if the ratio was equal 1 is to 1? Not equal. Let's say the ratio was 1.1 is to 1. Then what will be the impact? Yes,
Mhm.
it will increase. Okay. Let us see. 1,10,000, 1,05,000 divided by 95,000. It is 1.105 is to 1. It is also decreasing. Okay. Is this clear? Because the answer in both the cases is same, means it will decrease our quick ratio. So in actually, if you see these type of confusing situation, sometimes the we cannot assume that how it will impact the situation. So you have to calculate the ratio. Yes, by assuming the amount as per the ratio, because the ratio was 0.8 is to 1. So I assume 80,000 of liquid assets and 1 lakh as current liability. So the ratio is 0.8 is to 1. Now deduct the 5,000 from both sides. 70,000.
So you're lagging. So you're suffering.
Okay, let me check. Is it okay now, or still there is some problem?
Yes, sir, it's fine now.
Okay. Actually, the weather condition is not good outside. That's why I think the problem. Okay, actually, there is a problem here. You can see I have written 1.11, but the example I have taken is 1,10,000. Okay, and 1 lakh. So the ratio should be not 1.11, it is 1.1. Okay, or 1.10. So 1,10,000, 1 lakh, if we deduct, it will 1,05,000 is to 95,000. And then the ratio is 1.105 is to 1. So it is increasing. Your answer was correct. Okay. So I have calculated it once again because there was some confusion, I think. So in increasing ratio means if the ratio is liquid asset is more than current liabilities, then it will increase if both side the amount are same. Okay, they are decreasing with same amount or increasing with same amount, the impact will increasing. Okay, but if the ratio liquid asset is less than current liability and the amount on both sides are same, that is decreasing or increasing by same amount, then our ratio will decrease. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So this is our first question. Now, second question is easy, I think. XYZ Limited inventory is rupees 3 lakh, total liquid asset are rupees 12 lakh, and quick ratio is 2:1. So if liquid asset is 12 lakh and quick ratio is 2:1, then current liability amount is, you can tell me the current liability amount?
6 lakh.
6 lakh. Okay. And current liability is 6 lakh. And we have to calculate current ratio. So we need current assets also. So current assets equals to liquid asset plus inventory. So 12 lakh plus 3 lakh. It is 15 lakh divided by 6 lakh. So 2.5:1. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So now all other questions are not confusing. So let's start our new topic, the debt equity ratio. Okay. Do you have any question in current assets, current ratio or liquid ratio?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So debt equity ratio. Now, can you tell me what is the meaning of debt?
So it's the amount payable to someone.
It is the amount payable.
So debt, right?
Yes. So it is short term or long term?
So long.
Long term. Yes. Debt means long term debt. Yes. Okay. So debt equity ratio is part of solvency ratio. Debt equity ratio is part of solvency ratio. I told you in previous class, there is 4 types of ratio we have to study in this chapter. The first one is liquidity ratio. The second is solvency ratio. The third is activity ratio. And the fourth is profitability ratio. So our liquidity ratio has 2 ratio only, the current ratio and the liquid ratio. Okay. Now we are studying solvency ratio. So solvency means that we can pay our long-term liability or not. Okay, so it means we are solvent or insolvent. If we are able to pay, then we are solvent. If we are not able to pay, then we are insolvent. So means able to long term, long term. The solvency ratio focus on long term. So if we using solvency ratio, now it is showing your internet connection is unstable. So if my voice lag video is in video problem, you can tell me. I will try to
So
fix the problem. Oh, my voice is not clear.
it's lagging a bit.
Yes, it is showing now that your internet connection is unstable. Anything because it is a weather problem. The Wi-Fi router is showing the connection as good, but some problem. Okay, so if uh, you can continue with this much, or there is problem in
No,
listening.
sir. You can continue.
Okay, so I was saying that solvency ratio is a tool we use for knowing that a firm will be able to pay its long-term liability or not. Okay, so solvency ratio is a tool we use for calculation of long-term solvency, long-term ability to pay our debts. Okay, so there is this first ratio is debt equity ratio. There was four types of ratio here. Actually, you can see here. I don't have to write here. Liquidity ratio and solvency ratio. Yes. Actually, in previous years, actually there was only four ratio, but fifth one is included in the current year. Okay. So debt equity ratio, total asset to debt ratio, proprietary ratio, interest coverage ratio, and debt to capital employed ratio. These are the five ratio we will discuss in solvency ratio. Okay. So first one is debt equity ratio. Now, if we talk about debt equity ratio, debt means long-term debt. Debt means long-term debt. Okay. Or long-term liabilities. Uh, you have studied the financial statement, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So can you tell me, there was four headings under non-current liabilities?
The financial statement in this year or last year?
No, in 12th.
No, sir, that we haven't.
Okay. So there was actually four heading under non-current liabilities. We have to take only two. The four heading was, first was long-term borrowings. Okay. The second is long-term provisions. Third is other non-current liabilities. And the fourth is deferred tax liabilities. So we don't have to take these two, deferred tax liabilities and other long-term liabilities, we don't have to consider while calculating this debt. Okay. So in long-term debt, we include only two things, long-term borrowing and long-term provisions. Okay. So if there is any long-term provision given in portion, you have to include in debt. Now, so debt means long-term debt or long-term liabilities. And what is the meaning of equity here? What is the meaning of equity?
Equity shareholders fund.
Yes, equity means shareholder fund. Very good. Now, if you know, shareholder funds include share capital and reserve and surplus. And there are different items included in reserve and surplus, not capital, reserve and surplus. Shareholder funds share plus share is so we will add these to calculate shareholder fund, and we will add two items of non-current liabilities, that is long-term borrowing and long-term provision, to calculate long-term debt. Okay, so the formula of debt equity ratio is long-term debt divided by shareholder fund. Okay, so debt equity ratio is show the relationship between long-term debt and shareholder fund. Okay, so can you tell me what is the objective of calculating debt equity ratio if it is showing the relationship between long-term debt and shareholders fund?
So
Am
is
I
it
not
showing?
audible?
So is it showing the solvency of the firm? If it is able to repay the
Solvency
debt,
of the firm.
if it
Yes,
is
it is
able to.
under solvency ratio. So yes, it is showing our solvency, but the the objective of debt equity ratio apart from the solvency.
Yeah, if the firm is able to repay the debt or not.
Okay, actually it is showing that how much money we have borrowed in comparison to the shareholder fund. Okay, so let's say if we have invested, I told you about this debt equity ratio in previous class, that we have invested 1 lakh rupees in business and we have taken a loan of 5 lakh. Okay, so this is not a good situation actually, because our borrowed funds are 5 times than our invested capital. So it is not good. So it shows that how much money we have invested in comparison to the loan borrowed. Okay. So debt equity ratio shows the solvency and also the relationship between long-term debt and shareholders fund. Now, the ideal ratio for debt equity ratio is ideal ratio is 2:1, same as the current ratio. Means if you have invested 1 lakh rupees in business, then you can borrow the fund up to rupees 2 lakh. Okay, so generally sometimes a business can borrow more amount because there are some potential for their business, so they can borrow the money from the market, but the ideal ratio should be 2:1. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so now how to calculate long-term debt, because long-term debt will not be given in the quotient. Sometimes it will be given like long-term borrowing is this, but sometimes you have to calculate the long-term debt. So long-term debt is long-term borrowing plus long-term provision. So if balance sheet is given, then you have to look for these two items under non-current liabilities. Okay, so you will add these two items and you will find long-term debt. But maybe long-term borrowing is also not given. Then you have to use debenture plus any loan given in the quotient and then the long-term provisions. Okay, so you can use any of this two formula for calculation of long-term debt. The second is shareholders fund. Now shareholders fund can be calculated by two methods. Shareholder funds means capital. You can say it is capital. And what is the formula for calculation of capital? What is the formula for calculation of capital? You have studied this in accounting equation chapter in 11th. Do you remember?
Yes, sir. Assets minus liabilities.
Very good. Assets minus liabilities. So there is two methods for calculation of shareholders fund. First is liability side approach. Means when liability side item will be given in quotient, then you have to follow this method. So it will be equity share capital plus preference share capital and plus reserve and surplus. So this is our liability side approach. Now, if there is any fictitious assets or loss, then you will deduct those also. Okay. Now, the asset side approach. So as you told me, assets minus liabilities. In this case, equity, share capital, preference share capital, reserve and surplus will not be given separately. So you have to calculate that. So you will take total assets excluding fictitious assets. You will not include fictitious assets in this total assets. Okay, you will not include the non-trade investment also. Okay, these two things you will not. Total assets, you will remove fictitious assets or loss minus non-current liabilities. Non-current liabilities means any long-term liabilities will be given in quotient, you will deduct those items, and minus current liabilities. Okay, so this is our total assets minus non-current liabilities minus current liabilities. So this is our asset side approach. You can see the formula is same, assets minus liabilities, but here liabilities are divided into two parts. That's why I have written the name of these two. Okay, so this is your shareholders fund calculation, long-term debt calculation, and then debt equity ratio. Okay, now let's see a question. You have copied this.
Yes, sir.
Okay, in debt equity ratio, yes, there is some portion we have done already in current ratio or liquid ratio type portion, like increase or decrease in ratio. These type of portion will be given in debt equity ratio also. So first question is question number 42. You can see here. Calculate debt to equity ratio from the following information. Fixed assets, 8,40,000. Accumulated depreciation, 1,40,000. Non-current investment, 14,000. Long-term loans and advances, 56,000. Current assets, 3,50,000. 2,80,000 is current liabilities. Long-term borrowing is given and long-term provision is given. So can you calculate the answer, the debt equity ratio here?
So you're not presenting the question.
Okay, it is not showing. Actually, previously the portion was showing the current ratio or liquid ratio portion. It is visible to you.
No, so the notes part which you wrote, so that is not visible right now.
Okay. Is it visible now?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So portion number 42. Please read the portion.
So which one?
42. First one. Okay, actually, no current. No. Done.
So you wanted me to read the question or do you?
Yes.
Do you want me to just read the question or do you?
Your voice is very slow, or I'm not able to get it. Can you write in chat?
Yes, sir.
No, you have to solve the question.
Yes, sir, I'm doing it. Done, sir.
Okay. So what is the answer?
I got 2:1 as the calculation.
2:1.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, the answer is correct because you have taken this fixed assets minus accumulated depreciation. Yes.
The total assets minus total liabilities.
Okay. So how much amount is total asset?
So I got 11 lakh 20,000.
11 lakh
20,000 as total asset.
20,000. Yes, good. So total asset includes non-current investment, long-term loan and advances, and the net fixed assets and current assets. Okay. And there is current liabilities, long-term borrowing, and long-term provision. I told you that in long-term debt, we include long-term borrowing and long-term provision both. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So it is 5,60,000 divided by 2,80,000. Good. So now balance quotient is your homework, question number 43. I told you about the quotient of increase and decrease. When debt to equity ratio is 2:1, state giving reasons whether this ratio will increase, decrease, or will have no change in each of the following cases. Sale of land for 5 lakh, issue of equity share for the purchase of plant and machinery, issue of preference share for redemption of 13%. Can you solve these type of question? We will do the quotient in the same manner as we have done in liquid ratio concept. Okay, so please try these quotients because most of the quotient is same, increase, decrease, and not alter. Okay, you can calculate debt equity ratio from this balance sheet also. Okay, so there is this 4 question for you as homework. You will be receiving this question on our portal also. Okay, so I will send this to our team and they will give the assignment. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Actually, there is a note I want to share. Actually, I told you that non-trade investment and fictitious assets will not be included in calculation of total assets. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So please write these lines also. Okay.
Okay, sir.